Hello and welcome to Give and Take, the positives in life. And today's topic is paradigm shift. And we have a fantastic guest who I've known for a very long time. He will introduce himself and tell you what it is that he does. So welcome.
Okay, how you doing today?
Great.
I'm glad to be here on the show.
Lovely.
My name is Ken Davis. I'm from Yonkers.
Okay.
Anything else you want me to tell about myself?
And you are also retired.
Oh, okay. I'm a retired detective with the Yonkers Police Department.
Okay.
I've been working with them for 32 years.
Okay.
And I came on in '85, and I just retired about a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, lovely. How does it feel to retire?
It feels weird, but
Okay.
it feels great.
Good.
It's-
So you're keeping yourself busy.
Yeah,
You're keeping
oh,
yourself, that's the
definitely.
main thing.
Definitely.
Keep yourself busy and active, so there's no moments of. And also, you do something else with gang and graffiti.
I'm also a graffiti and gang specialist.
Okay.
I've been doing that since the early '90s.
Okay.
When I was with community affairs, and been carrying it on all until I retired. On one side, I was a field coordinator and co-founder for a graffiti art program called Off the Wall that lasted for about 12 years.
Okay.
Yonkers Whitecap, and with the police department, I was been investigating graffiti vandalism. In other words, we've been arresting what they call prolific graffiti writers
Okay. Okay.
and their crews.
I want to home in on the topic paradigm shift, because we had a great conversation
Okay.
about this. So let's start with that.
Okay, I got into understanding paradigms during the early '90s, and during the early '90s, I was with the police department for approximately, you can say, 3 decades.
Okay. Yeah.
And each decade, the police department goes through a paradigm shift. For example, when I came on in '85, police department was managing the crack epidemic.
Okay.
Okay, up until the '90s. Beginning of the '90s, then the switch over to community policing. Okay, it was more of the police dealing with the community. And one of the positions I had, I was one of the community affair officers.
Okay.
And also I was one of the instructors at the police academy. And we had to teach human relations and community training.
Okay.
And one of the models that we used was the paradigm shift. And it was very interesting because I had to get outside reading to understand it.
And you applied it once
Not
you
not only did I apply it for my learning, I applied it for myself too.
Good, good.
So it was all about understanding the concept. And once a concept changes to a new concept, it has certain stages to go through. You have the old concept. And the best way I explain it, when I came on the job, it was Betamax going into VHS.
Right.
Right? So things were changing, then the VHS into DVDs, and on. Now it's computers.
Right.
So basically what it's a concept that has boundaries. And inside those boundaries is a set of rules. Those set of rules only work inside those boundaries. Now, when things start changing, we start changing to what they call a paradigm shift. What happened? The boundaries come down, the set of rules change.
Okay.
And what you do, you go to ground zero. Now you're at ground zero.
Okay.
So when you're at ground zero, the last thing you do, you don't dig at ground zero. You try to find out what's going on. And then you try to develop another paradigm shift, develop another boundaries and another set of rules.
Okay.
Now what might happen, some people, some organizations, some agencies, they get stuck in what they call a paradigm paralysis.
Oh, okay.
Where they don't catch up. What's an example of paradigm paralysis would be when I was in college, my first college, Sutherland County, I was a commercial artist. And at that time, even though I didn't go to Rochester, now Kodak, if you remember, Kodak was the #1
I remember
in
that,
photography.
Which is showing our age, right?
Right, I know. Right. And what happened, I guess they didn't jump on the paradigm shift because what happened,
Right.
it went to digital imagery.
Right.
And I had a feeling that was going to change because, you can't drop all them harsh chemicals down the drain.
Right, and if you just stick with one kind of focus, niche, that happens after time, the other things come on board. So you just have to keep up with the paradigm shifts,
So
right?
paradigm shift it was a new way that the police departments were dealing with the community, various types of communities.
Right. So how did you use it in your work? in policing? How
Or
did
how
you
did I
use
use
it?
it? Okay, for example, okay, now I was doing, like I said, during the 90s, or, well, not 90s, well, the late 80s, it was mostly street work and all that stuff. Then when we went into community policing, I started learning certain things of what were going on, what were the community issues, okay? Not so much community, also what was the police department issues, what was going on in the police department. And sometimes when I'm in Chicago, I do a course, I talk about police, community, and gangs. So you try to find out what's going on in all of their boundaries, and how can you make it work for yourself, you know? Because like the new trend now, okay, you can't arrest yourself out of this situation. So you try to.
So you shifted. Whenever you shifted, you moved. You knew when it was time
It
to
was time.
shift over here because something's going on here. Shift there because I can prevent this from happening.
Definitely.
So it's great.
One of my greatest factors that helped me do my paradigm shift was like during the 2000s. I realized during the 90s also, you had the internet, World Wide Web coming on. Search engines were coming into, Google was coming into play.
Right.
And Google had what they call Google Alerts. And so what I did, every type of topic I had to deal with, I put that into a Google Alert.
Yeah, I do. that
So,
Google Alert.
so on my inbox, if there's anything going around this globe on the World Wide Web that was happening, it would be in my inbox the next day. So I pretty much, before I went to work, I was reading, okay, so-and-so is doing this way. This jurisdiction is doing it that way.
Excellent.
And let me see how this going. Same thing with graffiti. Graffiti investigators are operating this way. Graffiti researchers are going this way.
Good.
Prolific vandals are doing this. It's going to the internet. And one of the things, it was like one book I was reading. It was a police book, and it talked about when the crime and the criminals went to the internet, the police followed. So a lot of my, believe it or not, a lot of my arrests were based off social media, rather than going out there. Throwing something up against the wall and patting them down.
Are you listening? For those who put your business out there.
They're still going to do it.
I know they're going to do it, but I'm going to say it, okay? So just remember who did it. Don't blame anybody else but yourself.
It's so crazy between Facebook and Instagram,
Right.
where you have like the bad guys. They do selfies. They take pictures of themselves. Then wonder why they're getting caught. Remember the whole thing with the mannequin? Remember the mannequin drive where people were pretending to be mannequins?
I don't remember that.
Well, there was a trend on social media. It was the mannequin.
Okay.
And you had like these gang guys down in the South, and what they did, they did the whole mannequin thing, and they was like, it's like freeze frame.
Right.
And so what they do, they got guns, now they got the drugs, now they got the money, they doing this whole thing, and they reenacting like they're in a gang war, going across the street. And some of these guys were on probation.
But I'm glad that you're sharing this because it shows the complexity of policing and how one gets one who is offended.
Yeah.
So it's really, I'm glad we use the topic paradigm shift, and you're sharing how you use the paradigm shift and in different methods. So it's fantastic. I really, because it's not something that you hear too much. A police officer will talk so personally about, the way that they've implemented certain techniques to get things done.
Yeah,
so
well,
I'm glad that
it works out better for yourself. And it works out better for the agency.
Right.
And it works out better for the community. And I remember I was watching it was Bratton talking, and one thing he mentioned, and you can.
And Bratton is, you've got to say who Bratton. Everybody won't know who Bratton is.
Bratton was he was a former police commissioner for New York City.
Right.
And one of the tapes he talked about, he was on Charlie Rose, and I like Charlie Rose. Whoever goes to the table, Charlie Rose, you know what's going on.
Right.
And he was talking about like the top came up black police officers because the incident that happened in Dallas, and the commissioner out there, I think he was a chief that handled it very professionally. But what they were saying, that he said there's not a black police officer that cannot tell you of a bad incident that they had with the police department while growing up. But still, they kept on, and they came on the job. and we are trying to make a change of how the community see the police department, how the police department sees the community.
Yeah, and I know it's not easy, and
No, it's
I
not.
was glad. I appreciate you inviting me to your retirement. No, I really do, and because
I was
it's
a
so
nervous wreck,
nice to
wasn't I?
see, police officers come out okay on the other side, and so there is that aspect. Because at the end of the day, we're all human beings,
Right.
and not only, but we are that.
Yeah.
And so, we each have a part to play, and again, not to demean or denounce anybody or anything,
No.
but your role was important, and it's putting your life out there and the risk to save others. And there's been a lot of negativity, negative, press coverage and stuff.
Yeah.
But when it's someone like you sitting here, and to see, sharing what you've gone through, and to be able to say, I retired, I think that's worth
Right, definitely.
an applause.
With
And
my
I'm,
right
I'm so
mind,
happy, especially
no
since
injuries,
I know
yeah.
you personally.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you came out through it okay.
Thank you.
I'm very glad.
Well,
I don't know if you, go
well,
ahead.
I enjoy doing it. I mean, I lived in Yonkers since I was 5 years old. So when I went in the police department, I think I had a big plus because I knew people in the community. I knew in all communities around Yonkers.
All right, so I think at this time we'll start with the first picture that you've got that we'll talk about. Okay, so this is...
That's during my photography days. My first college I went to was Sullivan County Community College. I was a commercial artist. And what I used to do with my camera, when I graduated, I worked at Walker's Color Lab. So I used to go around and just take black and white pictures.
Nice.
That's Riverdale Avenue in Yonkers. It's not there now, but that junk shop, I remember, it's by what they call Mr. X. I don't know where
Well,
Mr.
that
X
looks really
is at
old.
now. But that was like a nice black and white.
Yeah, nice. Okay. So you said it was where now?
That's on
Neverhand
Riverdale.
Avenue? Oh, Riverdale.
That has to be
Wow.
between. That has to be.
I think I know that. That's going towards Warburton.
No,
No?
that's on Riverdale by Harriet. It's between Harriet and Var.
Oh, further down.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
They tore that
I
whole
was gonna
place.
say, yeah, because that
Matter of
doesn't look
fact, I think it
nothing
might have been
that
like opposite Serrato Park.
Oh, okay, okay. And then the second photo.
Oh, the clown. I love the clown. The bottom part of the half, I during my second college, I was at Mount St. Vincent. I was an intern at the museum, Hutchman Museum, and I met like a lot of artists. And there was this one artist who did a whole circus exhibit. That elephant is no bigger than an inch high.
Oh.
And I took a picture out of the encyclopedia, and for my end photography project, it was superimposing. Now I already worked at Walker's Color Lab for like 2 years, so I had skills in photocopying and film processing. So I was just putting it together.
Very nice.
And it hangs up in the blue door now.
So here's the other eyes and life of a police officer.
Yeah. Well,
It's great because you need that release.
that was my therapy there.
Excellent. So the third picture. Okay.
That's me graduating from College of Mount St. Vincent.
Okay.
Those are some of my co-workers. That's Miss Broderick. She was in the middle. She was a teacher in the news media. Matter of fact, I saw her like 3 months ago over there at Trader's Joe.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. And the next one. Okay.
Oh, that's me coming on the job.
Ah, congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice.
Fernandez was the commissioner.
Okay.
Okay.
And this is outside City Hall in Yonkers,
Yeah,
right?
outside City Hall.
Okay. Now
And
this
when I was
one
in my community affairs decade, I used to go to the schools and I would talk to the kids. And you can see that they surround, they like me. The guy on my left
Yes.
is the one who gave me that picture
Oh.
2 weeks ago.
You
So he's a
recently
grown
got
man
that.
now.
Yeah,
He's a grown man.
Oh,
He remembered me. He said, "Yeah, I wanted to become a police officer." Thing. I said, "Oh wow."
And while we're on that topic, you also worked in the schools, right?
Yeah,
You
well, that was during the paradigm shift. Now remember,
Okay.
the mid to late '80s was the crack epidemic, enforcement on the street. The '90s was community policing.
Okay.
Okay, starting in 2000 was what they call school resource officers.
School resource officer. That's right.
And some people confuse them with DARE officers. Those are two different types of officers.
Oh, the DARE
in the school.
officers,
DARE
right? Yeah,
officer
yeah.
talked about the narcotics.
And DARE is, if you want to
Right.
share that.
DARE is drug awareness. I wasn't a DARE officer.
It's enforcement, something,
resistance education.
Something, I
The
don't
DARE,
remember.
the
Sorry,
DARE officer is
DARE,
going to,
sorry.
I know, they're going to kill me. But I know school, SRO, school resource officer.
Okay.
And school resource officer, we were in the schools at that time. And it was a great feeling because I was a school teacher prior to becoming a cop anyway. So
Right.
I was in the Yonkers schools and go around and help the kids figure out conflict resolutions,
Okay.
you know, and make sure that nothing's going wrong in the school. And matter of fact,
And you built relationships.
build
with the children.
relationships,
Yes,
you know.
great. Yeah.
I mean, I had built a relationship with Saunders High School. The kids, one thing I liked about Saunders High School, they was very technical. They weren't good in sports, but they walked.
I went there, you know. I took
but they walked off the court like men, though.
Right,
You have to give it
right.
to them.
I took an auto mechanic course there.
Did you? You know what? I think more women should be in auto mechanics,
Listen,
but they won't go.
No,
Why won't
my
they
dad
go?
turned me. See, my dad was a mechanic, and he turned. But my mother was a nurse. She said no. My dad was an auto mechanic. He said no. So I stayed away. But I knew the basics of how to. Even I know what to go look for. I know when the car's not running right. I know how I need to maintain it. And so these are the basic things that we need to know to sort of get us.
Well, I had good experiences in school.
Good.
Resource. Well, there was one incident where I was in my office and these two kids came in, two Mexican kids come in. Because, you know, you have different cliques.
Right.
So you have to know all the cliques will go into jocks.
Absolutely.
The golfs. You know, there's so many things.
Right.
So they came in. They said, they say, Police Officer Davis. I say, yeah, I think we did something wrong.
This is
I
quite a
said,
deep
yeah, you
story.
did something wrong. What you do? We beat some guy up last night, but I didn't shoot him. I said, what? So I said, okay, just wait right here. Let me call up and find out. So I
Right.
called headquarters. Turned out there was a shooting yesterday. Matter of fact, it was a homicide. And the detectives, I had called the detectives. The detectives came and took him away. They did minimal stench, a stay, because they didn't shoot the guy. And the guy
Right.
who shot the other guy, he's still on the run. We believe he's out the country. But that was during the times when you had groups. They had like VL, Vato Locos, and it was against another group from Highland Avenue, 7383 Highland, and they called themselves Hard to Kill at that time, HTK. So you was having these, you know, these battles going on
But
between.
you had such a good relationship that they were able to.
Yeah,
come
they
and
came
share.
in and they
that
just.
was a big deal.
Yeah, that was something, you know.
Right.
You know, sometimes I scare my own self with that, but like, you know, you just have to befriend people. You have to.
Exactly, and
you know.
build a trust. So
Right.
they felt trust, you know, comfortable enough to come and share that with you. That was big.
Because kids are going through a lot today. I
Exactly.
remember elementary school. When I was in elementary school, the biggest thing was you step off that line when we go to the bathroom, you're in trouble. But there's a lot of things going on
there is,
in a student's head now,
and there's
especially
a deeper
along social
aspect to
media.
that, but you know. So anyway, let's go through the next
Okay.
picture.
I need to increase my gang skills, so I found this place on the internet, the National Gang Crime Research Center. I've been going in since 2000. I taught, now I'm part of their planning staff. I'm also an instructor since 2001. And these were some of the awards I received from some of my investigative cases and my research stuff.
Wonderful.
And I love this place. I love this conference. I brag about because you have gang investigators and gang researchers. So you meet like the top gang researchers. And I met some of them.
Excellent, excellent.
You know, sometimes you see them on TV or the top gang investigators.
So, do you remember one time you sent me to one of those things?
To one of the conference?
It was some international police officers conference or something.
Where was that?
I think it was in Canada. I'm not sure. I don't.
Which one did you go in Canada? Because I know I've been on the West Coast
It's
of Canada.
IA. Was it IA something? Wasn't it IA? International. It was.
Was it international? Okay, wait. International.
Was it Canada? I don't know. It was such a long time ago,
property
Ken.
crime investigators.
Something. There was like big chiefs of police were there. Yeah, chiefs of police were there.
Was that was it in Westchester County?
No, no, no. It was in another. It was in somewhere. I don't know.
No,
Anyway,
I've been to so many. I mean, I've been from Vancouver,
right.
all the
I
way
think it was
over
Canada.
to Halifax. Halifax is very interesting.
Yeah, you'd sent an email and it
Yeah.
was really interesting. I really got a lot of benefit
Yeah.
from that. I did.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway,
well, in Canada, I go there because basically there's a lot of graffiti investigators. You don't have
Right.
you don't have too many graffiti investigators in the United States. Everybody is gang, conferences. But
I like that you took on that
Yeah.
graffiti thing because
Yeah.
and we're going to see some of that now because you and then we'll see how.
Okay,
so
this
there's
is-
the story of the war.
this is the Off the Wall program at Yonkers Whitecap. And Judy Wilson was the executive director, God rest her soul. She was unbelievable. And also Joanne Gardner
I've heard a lot about her. A lot of
helped
people
too.
have said,
And I was on the board, and like they had a problem with, at that time during the 90s, they had a problem with HIV and AIDS. So Judy Wilson said, okay, we're
It's a
going to
paradigm
make
shift
a grant, paradigm shift again. We're going to get some money from the state, the New York State Health Department,
right.
and we're going to do murals of productions and pieces on HIV awareness.
Right.
And that was, and even though what was great about it, I graduated from Mount St. Vincent as an art educator. This was the first time I was able to, my whole art class was the whole city at that
Right.
time. And I befriended a lot of graffiti writers, graffiti artists, and some were even gang members.
So let's see some of this graffiti
Okay.
now.
That's PS12, Yonkers Whitecap. You can see at that time, Judy Wilson had passed, and they did a mural.
Okay.
You can see on the wall,
So
Judy
the heart,
Wilson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and I see
Yeah.
the heart. Yeah, And the next one?
Okay, this was done by Clark and Cool. Cool is from Spain.
Okay.
I mean, they used to come from afar just to come to this program. And this was in Chicken Island, but now Chicken Island's not there anymore. And what they did, they wanted to do an education of HIV around the world, that the world should be educated on it. But look how they did the planet.
Embrace,
And look how
right.
they, right.
It's like an embracing of the planet.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
that's what you call production.
Yeah,
Whenever you have a
global
solid
unity.
background, production.
Global unity is the solution.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, it was unbelievable. Now, this is not with the roller coaster ride. This is Clark, and the other one is Say. But we had a professional nurse working with us.
Okay.
Yeah, Karen was working with us,
Very nice.
and she would explain the whole concept of HIV and AIDS, and we should show the artists pictures of the cell, what it looks like, and they put this in their mind. Now they were trained as HIV counselors, so when they doing the mural, they talking to people as the people looking at the mural.
Excellent. And the next one. Okay. What's
And for some reason, these guys
Infinite
got
Egypt.
into the Egyptian look, and they took it to a whole different level. And this is part of the canvas. And what I did, I turned this canvas into postcards for them. Now, when you look on the back, it's all the artists that did it. But these guys researched it. It was like, it was for some type of union that worked in the World Trade Center. Matter of fact, I was down there with them.
it was a mural that they did?
Well, they did the canvas.
The canvas.
And what I did, I photographed the canvas and I put it into a card. So they all had cards.
Infinite Egypt. This is very, very deep.
Is it?
This is very deep.
Deep.
Well, I'll share with you about it. But
Okay.
there's some deep aspects in there, and I have a very strong connection with Egypt.
Really?
We'll talk about that. Yeah, but it's I'm seeing some things in there that are very spiritually significant. Very nice.
I see the Ankh. I know the Ankh.
Okay.
That's the Ankh, right? The cross
Right,
with the
right,
loop.
right. Very, very. So, and is that the last one?
Let me see, is there another one?
That's it.
That's it?
Yes. So you've took on all different aspects of your career,
Right.
and expanded based on not just one thing. You shifted with as the paradigm
yeah.
shifted. You shifted, and you created something to keep well-being for yourself, like the photography, and also the graffiti, because you
Yeah.
had to do a lot of research, and you got to travel meet different people. You're saying you're arranging to try and do something now to go to Germany, and
Yeah.
and so it's good to expand it. So you're not like this. You're not
Right.
focused on the one thing. You're giving yourself a breather. You did different aspects of policing, and so I think it's a great way that you've really done. You've integrated police work into
I
your
call
life.
it old
in
dog
different
with new
aspects.
tricks.
Which old dog? I don't see no old
I
dog.
know, but you know, you have to stay on the curve.
You do.
And then when the paradigm shifts, you have to be ready. If you're not ready, you're going to get caught.
Exactly. Now, before we finish up, I want you to share how we can you be reached. If you have a web email address, phone number, whatever you want to share at this time.
Okay, I can be reached by my email, which is GNG. It's GANDG specialist at gmail.com.
Excellent.
My new phone number is 914-966-9655.
Lovely. Great. And so Ken Davis, a wonderful resource here that can help you in any situation, right, Ken? I'm glad I got you as a friend.
Oh, well, we did pretty good in City of Yonkers. We made a lot from 1996 to 2000, we made 249 graffiti arrests. Matter of fact, when the sergeant from the graffiti unit in Melbourne, Australia, when he came over, he couldn't believe how clean the city was.
Wow.
We
And so, because the markings, you know who's
Yeah, the
where.
markings. Matter of fact, there are times I testify as a graffiti expert in New York City. You know, well, one reporter didn't give me a good review, but we won the case.
So, Ken, what do you sort of, being from the police officer's point of view, just some last thoughts, what would you give advice to anybody in regards to being a police officer and also being one who could get themselves into trouble? We have a couple of minutes.
Like I remember my grandmother, God rest her soul, because my mother died in high school, she took us over. And one thing she said, well, no matter what they are, you still need them.
Right.
You still need the police.
That's right.
It's like in any relationship, you have to have trust and respect. You have to respect people, no matter how bad they are. You still have to.
That's right.
And I mean, I had times where I did stuff off duty, and you had bad people come to my defense, come to help me out. You know, but it's a community. It's a relationship, and you can't not do anything about it. You have to do something about it.
So we're not innately bad. It's just something that we've been taught over time.
Yeah.
And it's just, things that we've fallen, and so we have to go back up again, climb ourselves, bring ourselves up again.
I think the past has a lot to do with what's going on today.
Absolutely.
And even with the whole concept with the statues and everything that's going on out there.
Right.
That's coming to light. But you still have to keep a straight head. Growing up, eyes on the prize. There's always eyes on the prize. If this is what you want, you pick the good role models. I mean, my role model was Sidney Poitier. He was a teacher, and he was also a detective.
Right.
So.
Very good. So it's basically you're saying respect on both sides.
Definitely.
No matter what a person may have done, they deserve that respect.
Oh, definitely.
And also police officer also do. So there needs to be a mutual respect.
But that's like in any relationship. It's
Any
going to be
relationship.
ongoing.
Any relationship.
It might be good here, but it's going to be somewhere across the country next something happened.
So anyway, Ken, thank you for coming on. So we're winding down now. I appreciate it. This will be very beneficial to many. And so thank you. And to the viewers, your level of consciousness is the gateway to the future. Thank you.